Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez.
And I'm Kevin Friel. We'd like to remind you right at the top that the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website. You can log on at www.town.barnstable.ma.us.
Thursday night, the Town Council convenes to discuss this coming year's capital improvement projects, which total $14 million. The agenda includes 20 public hearings on the CIP, and here, Kevin discusses more specifics on the meeting with Assistant Town Manager Tom Lynch.
And continue our discussion about upcoming Town Council meetings. We're very happy to discuss this April 15th meeting. We're going to get into some of the specifics of the agenda in just a moment. But first, Tom, could you tell us about the capital improvement projects and how they end up on this list on this agenda?
Well, the capital improvement plan is just an ongoing thing through the year where various departments will put together those capital needs that they have that are out there, as well as the existing list that we have. There's a whole team that goes through and rates each of the projects, and once we get them all rated, then we go back and look at where they fall on the list in past years and whether or not we can fund them this year. The capital project funding this year is around $14 million, and roughly broken down into $7 million from enterprise funds, and then $7 million from the capital trust and other revenues. So that's how large the package will be. But I think for people following this, these are not monies that can necessarily be used for operating funds. So we have several different sources, and I just read those through just for information for folks. A good deal of the money comes from the Capital Trust Fund reserves. There's some from federal grants. There are existing appropriations that carried over. Unexpended bond proceeds this year, there's about $800,000 in that. Then the new bond issues, which total about $2.3 million for a project total of a little over $7 million, as I indicated. So we're really looking at those new bond issues as the ones that are new coming on, which total the $2.3 million.
Very good. Well, now that we know some of the funding sources for these items, I'd like to talk about some specific items that are on the agenda. First, over the last number of years, the town has been committed to maintaining and repairing the public infrastructure as far as our roads are concerned. Could you tell us about that item, which is number 104?
This is a $3.2 million appropriation for public road infrastructure investment. And the town council, as you just indicated, has taken the policy that they want to commit that amount of money each year to try to catch up on neglected maintenance over many years, where it was kind of catch can based on what was left over, and have an organized schedule of which roads to do. So this has become a very important priority for the town, separate from the private road issue, which we're trying to solve in another way. But and there's a set list. For instance, this year in Osterville, there's reconstruction of the Osterville-West Barnstable Road from Main Street to Osterville. In Centerville, there's the reconstruction of Old Post Road from Old Stage Road to Finney's Lane. There's a lot of crack and chip sealing that would go on for Fawcett Lane and Princess Pine Road and Checkerberry Road, Arrowhead Drive, Swift Avenue in Osterville. So we have a whole list of all those streets that we can do each year. And the Department of Public Works is very concerned about keeping up with our roads and keeping ahead of them, because they rate all the roads, and you try to keep them at 80% or above in rating, because then when you go to do necessary repairs, it doesn't cost you as much as if you're repairing a road that's down around a D or an E condition road, which is really a failed road. Then it's major reconstruction and major dollars. This way we stay ahead of it and save money in the long run for the taxpayer.
Very good. Now, Tom, as is such the case with a lot of town council items, now for something completely different, we're now going to talk about an expenditure for herring runs in town. Could you tell us about what these herring runs are and the funding for the herring runs?
Well, this is actually an appropriation that we hope to double and triple, because there are some grant money that Congressman Delahunt and others brought into our region. And by putting up 25% of the grant, we get really, another 75% in funding that is to help our estuaries and bays, including the herring run. So that $67,000 fund will, generate additional dollars to help with our bays and estuaries flow.
Very good. Now, there are two big item topics that we are about to talk about. One of them is on the moratorium petition that has been submitted to the town council. Could you tell us what it is and why it's important?
Citizens have brought forward a request to have a moratorium on future, sewering in the Stewart's Creek area. The town council will be confronted with a yes or no vote on that question. Should they choose to put a moratorium in place, that would force stoppage of existing contracts and work that is being anticipated. There'd still need to be an ordinance. If they said yes, it'd still need to be an ordinance file that would then say how long the moratorium would be in effect and have a public hearing and go through that whole process. If they say no, and I think the argument will be advanced that if they say no, it'll be because we have put together a variety of workshops on funding proposals. We're moving forward on this. We should take advantage of the grant money that's out there, and hopefully that citizens will see that this is a project where there will be relief for residents as well as taking care of a very necessary wastewater problem.
Very good. We look forward to the council discussion on that item. Now, moving on to another item, and we've only got a couple minutes left here. We want to talk about the temporary shellfish area in the overlay districts to remain in effect.
Yes.
Could you tell us what the item is and what it means for the
This has
shellfish?
been a long-standing project. We had a task force on this. They did an awful lot of work on this, and they're still trying to resolve some of the issues as they relate to, docks and piers and shellfish, setting aside, prop land or shellfish areas. And that we're hopeful that because they've been doing a lot of work on that, that would be passed, and there'll be a future date at which they'll finish their work. I'd just like to conclude, I think, by going back to a minute to the capital outlay. For folks tuning in, they will get, this is almost like a workshop format where we will go through and present each individual item and either show visually what school repairs folks are seeking, or what areas they're trying to improve, whether it's a Sandy Neck Beach House, what that would look like, and whether it comes, and they'll say where the funding source is. Is it an enterprise account? Is it general fund? So it's interesting because there'll be a lot of information presented, and folks can go to the website again and get a lot of that information also.
Absolutely, Tom. And as I mentioned earlier, the council hears a variety of issues that are complex, and they need to be able to discuss them in a way that people understand at home what the expenditures are going to be and the importance of each one. And we look forward to a Thursday night's meeting.
Because following the capital budget and then the vote on each of these items, we'll be moving in May into the operating budget, which I'm sure we'll cover in some of our future sessions.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, let's take a look at this week's remaining meeting schedule. On Wednesday, April 14th at 7 o'clock, the Zoning Board of Appeals meets in the Town Hall hearing room. Also at 7 o'clock, Old Kings Highway meets in the West Barnstable Community Building on Route 149. On Thursday, April 15th at 7 o'clock, the Town Council meets in the Town Hall hearing room.
Well, that's all for now. For Kevin Friel, I'm Nick Cortese. We'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.